And with that, if you have any questions, you could ask, and then I'm going to have Vice President stay behind, and he's going to take questions and also introduce some of the people. You could ask them some questions. John, please.
Mr. President, unemployment numbers out today, 3.3 million.
Yeah.
I take it not a surprise.
No, not at all.
But still a staggering number.
Oh,
I'm wondering about your perspective on that.
Well, it's nobody's fault, certainly not in this country. Nobody's fault. We got very lucky when we made a decision not to allow people in from China at a very early date. I say that because some people don't want to accept it, but this was a great decision made by our country. Or there's the numbers that you're talking about. We're a big country. That'd be far greater, far bigger. So when I heard the number, I mean, I heard it could be 6 million, could be 7 million. It's 3.3 or 3.2. But it's a lot of jobs. But I think we'll come back very strong. The sooner we get back to work, you know, every day that we stay out, it gets harder to bring it back very quickly. And our people don't want to stay out. So I know those numbers, John, but I think you'll see a very fast turnaround once we have a victory over the hidden enemy, as I say. It's a hidden enemy. Sometimes a hidden enemy is a lot tougher than somebody that stares you in the face, right? So we'll see what happens. But, I mean, they're fully expected numbers, at least. I mean, at least. Steve, please.
There's a U.S. proposal to deploy some troops along the Canadian border.
Yeah.
And Prime Minister Trudeau is complaining about that. Why is that necessary?
Well, we have very strong deployments on the southern border, as you know, with Mexico, and we had some troops up in Canada, but I'll find out about that. I guess it's equal justice to a certain extent. But in Canada, we do have troops along the border. You know, we have a lot of things coming in from Canada. We have trade, some illegal trade that we don't like. We have very strong sanctions on some. We have very strong tariffs on dumping steel. And we don't like steel coming through our border that's been dumped in Canada so they can avoid the tariff. You know, I charge a lot of tariff for the steel. And it's been great for our steel companies because now they can really go. You look at what's happened with steel. It's been pretty incredible. But we've taken in billions and billions of dollars in tariffs on steel. And much of it comes in from China, but they can come through the Canadian border, too. So we're always watching for that.
If I'm reading the numbers correctly, the United States now has surpassed China as the country with the highest number of virus cases. Does this surprise you at all? Is it following a predictable trajectory?
No, I think it's a tribute to our testing. You know, number one, you don't know what the numbers are in China. China tells you numbers, and I'm speaking to President Xi tonight, I believe, and we'll have a good conversation, I'm sure. But you just don't know, you know, what are the numbers. But I think it's a tribute to the testing. We're testing tremendous numbers of people. And every day, the way the system works, and I want to thank especially Roche has been fantastic, great company. They've done a tremendous amount. Deborah was telling me before that they've really stepped up to the plate and done great, as have other of the companies, but it seems that they're really doing it particularly well. So, you know, we'll see what happens there, but it's a tribute to the amount of testing that we're doing. We're doing tremendous testing, and I'm sure you're not able to tell what China is testing or not testing. I think that's a little hard.
Yeah, Mr. President, on the 3.3 jobless claims, you just suggested it could 6 to 7 million. A lot of those workers.
No, I didn't say that. No, you're wrong. I didn't say that. I said some people were projecting that it would be 6 or 7, and it's, I believe, 3.3.
Came in at 3.3.
Yeah.
Millions of Americans out of work. Some of them will be losing their insurance. What's your plan to make sure, through no fault of your own, as you just mentioned, that they stay insured? Are you willing to plus up the subsidies for some of the exchanges under Obamacare, expand Medicaid? What's being considered?
So, well, I mean, the things I just read to you are being considered, and other things are being considered. People are going to be getting big checks, and it's not their fault. What happened to them is not their fault. So we're doing a lot of different things on health insurance. We have meetings on it today. We're taking care of our people. This is not their fault, what happened, and we're taking care. We're starting off by sending them very big checks. I think for a family of 4, it's about $3,000. And we're taking care of our people. We're taking care of our workers. This was not, you know, as I say, this was not a financial crisis. This was a health crisis, a medical crisis. We're going to take care of our people. Please. Yeah.
Mr. President.
Please.
the National Restaurant Association came out. National Restaurant Association came
Restaurant.
out with a survey this morning saying that 3% of all restaurants in this country have shuttered for good in the past 3 weeks, and the projection is that 11% more are going to close in the next 30 days. So, what do you say to a restaurant owner who is looking at his sheets and thinks he has to close within the next 30 days?
Well, I hate to, I know the business very well. I understand the restaurant business. It's a very delicate business. It's a business that it's not easy. You know, I always say in a restaurant business, you can serve 30 great meals to a person or a family, and they love it. One bad meal, number 31, they never come back again. It's a very tough business, but they're great people that run restaurants. And I've heard 3% could be lost, and you could go as high as 10 or 11%. But they'll all come back in one form or another. It might be a different restaurant, but it's going to be a great business for a lot of people. And we're making it easy for people to look what we're doing in terms of loans, what we're doing in terms of salaries. They'll all come back. It may not be the same restaurant, may not be the same ownership, but they'll all be back. Yes, sir, please.
So you mentioned the pledges from American companies to provide supplies, but does it get, as we top 81,000 cases in the U.S., does it make sense to relook at using the Defense Production Act?
Well, I talked about the Defense Production Act a lot, and I've enacted it. I have it. I can do it with a pen. And we have actually used it on 2 minor occasions, and then we could withdraw it. But for the most part, the companies, we don't need it. We say, we need this, and they say, don't bother, we're going to do it. I mean, we're dealing with Ford, General Motors, 3M. We're dealing with great companies. They want to do this. They want to do this. They're doing things that frankly, they don't need somebody to walk over there with a hammer and say, do it. They are getting it done. They're making tremendous amounts of equipment, tremendous amounts. And when this is over, we're going to be fully stockpiled, which they would have never been, except for a circumstance. This was something that nobody has ever thought could happen to this country. I'm not even blaming. Look, we inherited a broken situation, but I don't totally blame the people that were before me and this administration. Nobody would have ever thought a thing like this could have happened. But the Production Act, Defense Production Act, is a wonderful thing, but I just haven't had to use it. They know it's activated. They know I can use it. Maybe that frightens them a little bit. You know, it's got tremendous power, but I haven't had to. Please.
Thank you, sir. A question for me, and then another question, if you'll let me, for some of my colleagues who are social distancing.
Where are they? They're all outside trying to get in, I know.
The first question has to do with cruise liners like Carnival and Royal Caribbean. They want this relief aid, but they're worried that because they offshored to places like Panama and Liberia, they might not qualify. Senator Hawley has said that they should move back to the United States before they get a check. Do you agree? Should they pay U.S. taxes to get U.S. taxpayer relief?
So I'm a big fan of Senator Hawley, and I also like the idea. There were some senators that didn't want to do anything, like Carnival, great company, but they're based in different places. I won't tell you why. I could tell you exactly where they're based, but I won't do that. But they're based in actually more than one places. You know, ships are registered at different locations. I do like the concept of perhaps coming in and registering here, coming into the United States. It's very tough to make a loan to a company when they're based in a different country. But with that being said, they have thousands and thousands of people that work there, and maybe almost as importantly, that work on shore, filling these ships with goods and products. And the cruise line business is very important. And I know Carnival, what a great job they do, Mickey Harrison. And I would think that we could stick with Senator Hawley and maybe really look at that very seriously. Look, it's a big business. It's a great business. It's a business that employs tremendous number of people outside of the ship itself. I mean, you look at these ports. It's loaded up with shops and people that are involved with the ship. So we're going to work very hard on the cruise line business, and we're going to try and work something out. But I like the concept. Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you, sir. The Senate bill includes aid that's directly tied to the airlines. And since before the pandemic, Boeing was already suffering from the losses of 737 MAX airplanes. Do you think it's appropriate to use this legislation to sort of provide them with $17 billion of aid on top of, you know, $25 billion that they could qualify for as a passenger airline, and then another $4 billion that they could qualify for as a cargo airline? Is that fair?
So the airline business is a very tough business. Over many years, it's been very, very tough. It's got everything. It's got labor. It's got very strong, powerful, you know, you look at the cost of these airliners. Everything is tough, very highly technological. You look at how complicated, how complex. It's got unions. It's got everything. The airline business, generally speaking, has unions. It's a very tough business, always been a very tough business. With that being said, we have to keep our airlines going. And we're going to be using some. Now, maybe we'll take a piece of the airlines for the country, for our country, where we loan money and we take a piece. It's all fully ready. We're ready to go. But if we didn't do that, we'd end up with no airlines, and we can't do that. The airline business is very vital to our country. It's a tough business. We have to understand that. So I mean, I could tell you other businesses that are different kinds of business. They're very good businesses. But airlines have always been very, very tough. Please.
2 questions for you, Mr.
No,
President.
please.
2 questions for you.
Yeah, I didn't call you. I called this gentleman.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. On Monday,
Who are you with?
did you speak with?
Who are you with?
I'm with Bloomberg.
Yeah.
Bloomberg News, Mario Parker.
How's Michael doing? Good?
Mr. President, on Monday, did you speak with Chinese President Xi before you urged Americans to not blame Asian Americans for the coronavirus? We noticed that you've backed off of that language. I know you're speaking with him again
No, I didn't.
tonight.
I'm speaking to him tonight. It's scheduled to go tonight. I'll have a call with President Xi of China. Very good relationship. No, I didn't like when they came up, and it wasn't him. Somebody at a lower level, mid-level, we found out pretty much. But they made a statement that our soldiers brought it into China. No, it came from China. And, you know, we just signed a very big deal with China. They're paying us a lot of money in tariffs and other things. They never paid us 10 cents. Look, China has taken advantage of the United States until I came here with Sleepy Joe Biden and Obama and Bush and everybody else. I'm not blaming them. I'm blaming everybody. They were allowed to $500 billion a year they were taking out. We had trade deficits that were so large, nobody's ever seen anything like it. And we've changed it. Look, now we're taking in billions of dollars, and we gave some to our farmers because China, you know, they targeted our farmers. And our farmers are very happy. And our farmers got through a very rough period because of what I was able to do. Took the money from China and gave it to the farmers, and we had plenty left over after that. Now we're going into a phase 2 negotiation with China, but we're getting 25% on $250 billion, and then we're getting a lot on money after that. So we've never had a deal with China. China took advantage of the United States. And you know what? I don't blame China for that. I blame the people that were right here because they should have never allowed it to happen. But the relationship with China has been a very good one. John?
Mr. President, did President Xi ask you to calm that language down or to not use that language?
He never asked me to comment on it. No. Somebody might have spoken to somebody, but nobody spoke to me about it.
Mr. President,
I think it was time, though, because, you know, I talk about the Chinese virus, and I mean it. That's where it came from. You know, if you look at Ebola, if you look at all Lyme, right, Lyme, Connecticut, you look at all these different horrible diseases, they seem to come with the name, with the location. And this was the Chinese virus. But I don't have to say it. If they feel so strongly about it, we'll see. But, you know, we have... we just made a great deal with China, great hopefully for both parties, but we made a deal with China, and we're going to do another one, it looks like. They want to do it very badly. Maybe they'll want to wait, like Iran. They want to wait to see whether or not Trump gets beaten in the election, because would they love to negotiate with Biden or somebody else other than me? They would love it. That's their best dream in the world. So many others. So there are some that maybe are, you know, waiting till after November 3rd, the election day. But I think we're doing very well. It would be sad if we blew all of the advantages that we have right now, because we've made unbelievable trade deals, whether it's Mexico, Canada, Japan, South Korea, China, and others. We have we have changed the whole thing around. Please.
Mr. President, earlier today, you sent a notification letter to the nation's governors saying that you will soon come out with new guidelines about social distancing and other items. Do you have any data yet to suggest which specific areas of the country may have their guidelines relaxed,
Yeah.
which areas of the country may have their guidelines
I think
tightened?
Deborah will talk to you about that, and Tony in a few minutes. But I think we'll start talking about that because we have to open up. We can't say let's close. People don't want to close, John. I say it again and again. The reason I do because I want you to report it eventually. Go ahead, Steve.
How would that work without widespread
Go ahead, Steve.
testing, though, Mr. President?
From President Xi tonight, what do you want to talk to him about?
Yeah, it's his call. I mean, I'll talk to him whatever he wants to. I mean, you know, we'll have, I think, a very fruitful call. We'll have a good call tonight at 9 o'clock, please.
Is it about the virus, though, sir?
Yes, in the back. We'll be talking about that. Yeah, we'll be talking about the virus.
Thank you.
Yeah, in the back first, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Despite the jobless claim numbers today, the market rallied again. It's up over 4,000 points the last 3 days, marking,
record.
the largest charge since 1931. Do you think that the economic uncertainty has passed? Given the market?
No, not yet. It hasn't passed, but it's come a long way. I think they think we're doing a really good job in terms of running this whole situation having to do with the virus. I think they feel that. I think they feel the administration, myself and the administration, are doing a good job with keeping, very importantly, people informed, because there was a great fear, and a lot of good things are happening. The mortality rate is at in my opinion, you'll have to speak to Deborah, Tony, all of the others, but in my opinion, it's way, way down. And that takes a lot of fear out. You know, it's one thing to have it, it's another thing to die. You know, when I first got involved, I was being told numbers that were much, much higher than the number that seems to be. And remember that people that have it, many people have it. I just spoke to 2 people, they had it. They never went to a doctor. They had it, absolutely had it, but they never went to a doctor. They never went to anything. They didn't report it. You have thousands and hundreds of thousands of cases like that. So you have to add that to the caseload also. And the people that actually die, that percentage is a much lower percentage than I ever thought. That's one of the reasons I say, look, we're going to beat this and we're going to get back to work. Yes, please.
Administration today, the DOJ announced charges against Nicolas Maduro for drug trafficking. They've designated him as a narco-terrorist. It's also expected that Venezuela is going to get hit really hard by the coronavirus. Does the administration see this as a weak point for the Maduro regime?
No, we don't look at a weak point. This is a serious problem for over 150 nations, the virus. I would say this, Maduro and Venezuela, we're watching it very closely. We'll see what happens. But that is correct. Those charges were made. Please.
You said a moment ago that you used the Defense Production Act on 2 minor occasions.
Yeah.
What were those?
We will give you that notification. We'll let you know. Okay?
Can I follow up on John's question about the classifying for counties? A lot of these areas have not done testing yet. Is it safe to say that the current guidelines will be extended into next week? Will you wait to change those guidelines until you have the data yet left?
I want those guidelines to go even when we're open and fully operational. And frankly, much of the guidelines, like shaking hands, maybe people aren't going to be shaking hands anymore. You know, Tony had mentioned to me, Tony Fauci, the other day that I don't think he would be too upset with the concept of not shaking hands. He was saying that the flu would cut down, the regular flu would be cut down by quite a bit if we didn't do that, if we didn't shake hands. You know, the regular flu, of which, you know, you have a lot of deaths and a lot of problems with that too. So I think a lot of great things are going to, when we're open, just to finish, when we're open, as soon as we open, that doesn't mean you're going to stop with the guidelines. You'll still try and distance yourself, maybe not to the same extent because you have to lead a life. But I think the time is coming. How about one more question? Go ahead, in the back, please.
Thank you very much, Mr.
Go ahead,
President.
please.
I also have 2 questions because I'm asking on behalf of foreign press as well. So one domestic question, one international. Domestically, you just tweeted the other day saying that it's very important that we totally protect Asian Americans.
Yes, I do. Very important to me.
But still millions.
Very important to me. We have to protect our Asian Americans It's a very important. That was a very important tweet to me because I didn't like things that I was hearing. Please go ahead.
Well, what's the concrete measure that you're taking to combat the hate crimes against Asians?
Well, I don't know. All I know is this: Asian Americans in our country are doing fantastically well. I'm very close to them, as you know, and they're doing fantastically well. And I think they appreciate the job we're doing. But I did want to put that statement out, the social media statement, because to me, Asian Americans are a great part of our country. Thank you all very much. We'll see you soon. Thank you.
I've got 2 questions for you, Mr. President. On your guidance of the county by county, how does that work, Mr. President? Will people be able to go from county to county if it's high risk and low risk?